Hey everybody, this is Todd,
And I'm Jill.
and welcome to the Soulful Creator Podcast. So today we are just going to have kind of a cool, fun discussion about, we've had the elections since we last talked. We have a new president.
It's been kind of a scary time for everybody. I feel, as an energetic being, I feel like I've really struggled with my energy in keeping it soothed and in a neutral place and not being pulled into the fear out there in the world.
Right. Because I think every time the election happens, when one side doesn't win, there's a lot of pain out there. There's a lot of people who are saying, well, the election was, it was fixed. And there's a lot of fear out there still. A lot of people who are fearing that now that our president's not there, the world's going to fall to the wayside.
I think that everyone is getting caught up in what I call, the shit storm. Can I say that?
Yes, you can.
So they're getting caught up in this is black tunnel of the way I visualize what fear looks like is kind of like this black tornado, right?
Yeah.
And we're just getting caught up in it because we 2020 has been all about fear. It seems like with the pandemic and a lot of people in fear that they might lose their jobs. I know that for me, I was actually looking for employment at the beginning of January in 2020. Mm-hmm. And to keep that job in this environment when corporations were going through such a hard time themselves of the unknown and knowing when they work remotely or not, there's just been, and then with the election and not knowing what's going to happen with the pandemic, and there's there's craziness out on the internet. You want to talk about that?
Oh yeah. Well, we went to the movies the other night, and at the end we had these great friends who we met after.
By the way, the theater was completely empty.
Yeah, it was
on a Friday night.
It's so
there
weird.
was about 10 people in the entire theater.
Yeah, the whole social distancing thing. It's just weird just not to see anybody at the theaters. But again, we said, you know what, we're going out anyway, right? We're gonna brave the storm and
we're gonna live, even if there is fear in this crazy world.
Right.
We're just gonna keep living.
So we were at the very end, and we were kind of talking about the movie a little bit in the perspective of the soul a little bit, and some people next to us were like, hey, interesting. And they're like, how did you like the end of that movie?
Yeah, they heard us chatting and talking about there was fires and they thought it had a depressing ending, and they're like, what did you think about the ending? And anyway, we made some friends at the theater, and it ended up being that we talked to them for over an hour.
Over an hour in the hallways about everything from the elections to this vaccine thing that's going on, to all the
and earlier that day, I had watched, someone had sent me a video of Christiane Northrup that was a really well-known, respected doctor that's been on Dr. Phil and been on Oprah, and she's written several books and really helped women with restoring health through, menopause naturally. And even though she's an MD, she was talking about, some things that were really upsetting, like these I don't know what they are, it's above my head, but some scientific thing where they're, manipulating the virus to basically, or the vaccine, so that we would all have to get injected with something that would end up being something would track our heart rate and track our every movement, where we are and how we're feeling, and basically, these little robots inside and would be put inside of everybody if we were all forced to be vaccinated. And so it really upset me. And so that was kind of on my mind.
Now, we talked with these two ladies at the end of the movie and getting their perspectives, and it was really interesting because, again, I am not one to really delve into a lot of that stuff. I usually trust a lot of the things that I hear, especially from, not really from the media, but from the government itself. But again, there's a lot of people out there with so much going on, and so, with the masks and the whole the cases are going up everywhere in the United States, right?
Well, and I think, to talk about the masks for a second, I think it puts us all in a really interesting situation because, There are those of us, that are coming from a soulful perspective that realize that fear is feeding energy against reality, meaning it's not our truth. We shouldn't be controlled by fear. We shouldn't allow fear to hold us back, right, from living. And so at the same time, being a soulful being, I want to be respectful of where everyone else is on their own soulful journey. And so if someone that I love and know is, maybe in fear, then I should respect the fact that they are in fear. There's controversy around, should we wear the mask? Should we not wear the mask? And now we have to wear the mask, even though we don't believe into the fear. We don't want to buy into the fear. And it's just putting us in this really weird place. And from a spiritual perspective, it's kind of ironic because the mask is actually covering the face, which is making it, it's making us feel separate. It's separating us. And
well, I found myself in the store the other day, and I was just this cute little kid who was playing on the ground, and it was such a cute little scene, and I was smiling, but no one could. I thought, oh, they can't see my smile, right? It's just so different. I still find myself, when I'm in the store, like smiling or thinking, and they can't see you. It's from like this, and so they can't even see your expressions, and so it's tough. People, the whole mask debate is hard, and people, there's a lot of reasons why people think, well, we're wearing them because of the government wants us to do this, and then there's all these theories going on as far as the masks don't work. It's just
well, and I think socially, getting back to the fact that it's fear which is being used as a tool to keep us separate. And when I met your family the other day for the first time, we went to a wedding and everyone was wearing masks, and so here I had to go meet Todd's family for the first time wearing a mask, and I found myself wanting to pull it down and say, I really am smiling, hi, nice to meet you, and then putting it back on. And, it's also a challenge for me with being in an environment with sales. And I need to meet with business leaders and business owners. Yeah. And I'm trying to, go to their offices and bring them treats and get to know the leaders and find my way in so I can talk with the business leaders. And, I have to wear my mask but it's just not the best way to connect. And so it's a really controversial topic, but I think the symbolism is that notice that it's big black masks, right, that are covering our identity. It's like we have forgotten who we are as human beings. We're literally being covered up and having to start over again. This process is that the masks are a symbol that we literally are in this place of not knowing ourselves, not knowing our truth, not knowing our worth, and I think from a soulful perspective, that's what's happening. Is that the universe uses fear to help bring the truth to the surface, and so fear often we go through these cycles, right? Evolution, we go through these cycles of beginnings and endings, and fear is one of those beginning energies of something. It's creating the darkness so that we create a new beginning. So fear is kind of at the end of the old ways, the end of the whole old human ways, so that we can realize, hey, this is darkness, this is shadow, this is illusion, this doesn't feel right. Not being separated from people, the lies in the economy, or the struggling economy, the lies in politics. It's left us in this unknown, and that's super uncomfortable, the darkness of not knowing. But it's that darkness that actually facilitates that energy of pain, which is saying, pay attention inside now. This is not the way our life is supposed to be. Pain is not supposed to be our home. And love is our home, right? And so how do we, as soulful beings, create more love? Intentionally create more love. And how do we get through this fear? And on the other side of that fear, once we bring an end to that fear, how do we get through the fear? How do we bring closure to the fear? How do we give birth to a new beginning? And how do we create lives that, a world that is a reflection of truth?
Right. No, we're going through a lot of, again, I think it's just the tip of the iceberg as far as how people are feeling, right? People are feeling a loss of with the vaccines, like they don't want to, they think that might hurt their health, right? It might hurt their people have their views on vaccines. I get it, but there's people who are worried on the other side that, well, I don't want to be infected, right? And then you have the fear of people who are, the privacy part, how, Facebook is tracking me everywhere, but the thing is, sometimes that's good for people, is because, hey, I mean, when people track us and they figure out what our shopping, what we like to shop for,
our habits and behaviors,
they send us these beautiful ads that say, hey, you might like this, right? But on the other end of that, they're like, well, I don't want to have all my privacy out there. So there's kind of like this two sides of the fence as far as, but people are fearful that, that's why they're using platforms that are, freedom platforms, where they feel like they don't want to be censored, right?
Or they can't get kicked off of YouTube.
Right. There's a lot of people who
shut
are
down off of Facebook.
Right, just because of their opinions. And so people really think that it's a fear of losing their freedom in general, right? Because once they say, hey, well, masks are the first thing, because that's going to be the gateway to the government saying that we can't do other things, right? Like, so.
And from a soul perspective, let's just talk about freedom for a second. Yeah. The soul needs to have that room. It needs to have choice and room to experience life and express itself in order to learn and grow. The soul will never be able to see its truth if it can't have choice and life experiences and follow its desires, right?
Right.
And so, obviously freedom is, one of the most important things that we, as soulful beings, the soul is free. We know that the soul and that the realm of the spiritual realm is all about freedom and desire and choice, and that's that infinite growth that gives us that vast space of infinite growth. If it's like living in a box, I can only grow so much if I'm told to stay in that box, and I live in that box for the rest of my life. And the house is like a symbol of that, right? We live in a box, right? The house keeps us safe and comfortable, but yet there's a whole world to be explored. And if we don't ever go outside of the house and figure out how to survive outside of the house, then we're never going to really fully experience life.
Right. I think that's the issue right now with people, with all these numbers going skyrocketing, is that people are wanting to stay home, right? It was evidenced the other night when we went to the movies, right? They're not really wanting to go out.
Well, and there's judgment, right? Well, I get in trouble because I'm supposed to be at home for 2 weeks. Am I in trouble for living and going to? Is there going to be judgment?
Yeah, from people saying, well, why are you going out when you should be home staying? You're probably spreading the disease. And we're like, so it's like this damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of scenarios going on. And there's a lot of people who are afraid because, again, those natural freedoms that we've been able to enjoy for so many, we're being told for the first time. We're having, like our governors, like you said, he came on the TV and says, okay, for the next 2 weeks, you can't do this. That is a big shock to people, right? Especially when we live in America, when we have all these freedoms, but we're being told that we can't do certain things. And that doesn't sit well and with a lot of people. And so, again, we know it's all that's for our health, to keep us safe. But we also know it could be a slippery slope for taking our freedoms away.
Well, and I think it's important to just bring to conscious attention that the soul, is connected with infinite intelligence, and the soul knows how to restore the body to its natural state of creation, which is perfectly balanced and whole, and so. This body that we have is a tool, a vehicle of creation. And so the answers don't exist out there. All of the answers of how to be healthy exist in here. And this is the problem with the way that we've been viewing health, is that we take things and we take them and put them in our bodies, and we think that that's the solution, but that's only half of the solution to treat the symptom. Right? If you go back to Eastern medicine, they know that that the wellness also exists from the energetic meridians from inside. And so the body is a vehicle. It is an energetic vehicle. And so we have all of the answers from within our body. Our body knows exactly what it needs. We know that when we went on the medical medium diet, we were reminded that the earth has all of the nutrients, that we need. The water, the air, the sunshine, the nutrients that come in fruits and vegetables, all of that resets the body and resets us so that we're now a clean vehicle for the soul to live in and to thrive in. And the soul needs a healthy body in order to live. It needs the human body to be live, or else the soul can't do its soul work here. Right? It can't create truth. Can't be a creator of truth. And so I think, we're not telling you what to do. We're not telling you what's right, what's wrong. I'm giving you a soulful perspective to remember that you are connected to divine intelligence, that you have all of that built within you, and that you can rise above this fear, right? And I like to say, don't feed the fear. If you're feeding the wolf, it's going to grow. If you're feeding the fear, it's feeding energy against reality, which is not in alignment with truth and love and light. So don't feed it. Just don't get caught up in that shitstorm.
So are you saying that instead of somewhat Googling for the answers, we should be listening inside, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And when we were talking to these girls that we had met at the theater, and they were telling us about all of this there in the world,
the conspiracy theories.
The conspiracy theories. It's like, what is truth and what is not truth? And Todd and I, we kind of live in a little protected bubble because we've tried to keep our energies high, and we try to hold the energy of love and light so that we can stay in tune and be a vehicle of truth, or if you want to call it an instrument of God or a higher power, whatever. We try to hold that vibration. And people call us naive because, what do? We meditate, we exercise, we drink water, we're trying to eat healthy, we try to keep our energy high, we try to have joy. These are all the things that feed the soul. But yet, the aha was that what good are we for spirit if we're not balanced in the human realm, right? We can't just sit up here in la la land floating around in clouds thinking, wishing and thinking wishing that everything was better. Like at some point we have to get back into the human body
and deal with the human issues that are out there facing everybody,
and be a soldier of truth. Get grounded in this human game and actually do something about the fact that we want to actually use the human body, to create the truth on the planet, to create a better world. In the process of creation, fear is a lonely game. It makes you feel alone. You're feeling that darkness from within. But on the other side of that, the way out of it is connection, because we are all connected. It's in oneness. It's when I recognize that I am within you and you are within me, and we are one, and that's where love one another and the golden rule comes from, right?
That's where the power comes from.
That's where the power comes from, is recognizing yourself in every other person, and realizing that there are lots of there's an infinite number of souls out there that I can connect with, right? By using means of social media or whatever. I can find other people like me, and we can band together, and together we can stand up, because I might feel like I'm too small to stand alone, but if I can find other soulmates and start to create a community, which is what the Soulful Creator Channel is all about, then we can start now collaboratively and synergistically, coming up with some very creative solutions to create truth in our new world.
Right. No, I thought that was the whole. And we had with that talk with our friends. It's such a great, a lot of times we do feel alone, right? We do feel like we are this, this voice and that no one will hear us. But when it's nice to know that there are people out there who if you just connect with them and have, and that means going out, going out and into going to the movies and going out to dinner and to, you still can do that and to connect with people, because there's people out there who are, that need you. They need us, right? And it was great because we needed those two ladies. That was great to just have that conversation with them, that we're not.
We've been saying for a while now, oh my gosh, we just want the world to go back to the way it was when we were kids, when we could get on our bikes and just go connect with friends and have fun. And, the soul work, what our souls are meant to do here is supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be an individual game, right? And it's in the connecting with a soulmate, and it's in the fixing of the problems of the world that we get to see our greatness, and we get to experience our truth and know how great we are as spiritual beings.
Right.
And so we, in summary, and I don't know if you want to add some more to this, but in summary, I think we at some point have to be grateful for the fear, for how it is exposing illusion, and how it is waking us up and helping us, see the truth of who we are, and having our desires to create, a better world.
Yeah, well said. I think that's, does. Fear is something that does wake people up, right? I mean, we've been through it since March, right? Of being in a place where we don't like, even though the numbers are going up, we've kind of now have dealt with all the things that were, being home, remote work, and some of the places being, like socially distanced. We went to dinner or breakfast today, and we had to wait a long time just for two people because of all the, social distancing and things. But that's fine. I mean, but I think we're all starting to deal that, the fear is something that is subsiding in a way. But
and I want to say something about that. So fear, where your focus goes, what I focus on, that's going to be what grows. If there's a plant, and I want that plant to grow, I'm going to nurture it, and I'm going to water it, and I'm going to give it energy every day in the sunshine, and it's naturally going to grow, right?
Right.
Well, we are like that sunshine and that energy and that water that's feeding our perceptions.
Yeah.
And so if we want a different experience, we need to focus on something different, because where our focus goes is what is going to grow.
And if we're focused on fear, then the fear is going to grow.
But now it's the time for the soul to live its truth through the human. And so it's where, again, what this channel is all about is finding that balance and coming together and intentionally creating from letting the soul be the one that's reminding us what our truth is. And so we're creating from a place of abundance and truth.
Well said. Okay. I think we're...
No more being afraid.
Yeah. Get out there and play. Right?
As much as possible, if you can, take the mask off. Take a nice deep breath.
We're all going to be all right.
There's going to be a new beginning.
There is. All right. Take care, guys.